Good morning. Let's see if I've got the right. Uh, I don't have the right camera. Give me 2 seconds. Let me make sure I've got the right camera. I don't think I do, so I'm not gonna worry about it. So this is all new stuff for me. So, all right. Well, good morning. Happy Saturday. I wanted to just jump on here. I had a couple things I wanted to go through with you. I'm George Tabb, the Motivated Rider, and today we're going to be talking about just some things and how I basically learned, what to do when life disappoints you, right? And so I don't have access. All right, so just learning what to do. Can y'all hear me? Okay, I think you can. If somebody could put that in the chat for me. Let me let me see here. This is a first for everything. Can you hear me? Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So today's topic is how I learn what to do when life disappoints you. One of the things that I realize is that it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when, right? It's when we have disappointments. And I've learned a lot along the way, on this journey called life. And um, and so I've got some things like I want to talk about the thought meter. I want to talk about the dirt in the glass concept. I want to talk about the law of the compass. I want to talk a little bit about the bounce back effect, and that's probably where we'll wrap up. And so our thought meter. So one of the things that I realize is how we feel will be based upon how much thinking versus thought. And I know I'm kind of splitting hairs on this, but there is a difference between the two. There's a difference between thinking and thought. So you may have a thought about maybe going to the supermarket, or you may have a thought about starting a business, but then the thinking part is not able to do. And so you're thinking through this whole thing about, okay, what if this happens? What if I can't do it? What if I can't? So so what the thought meter is a way for you to measure the more thought you have on this, the more thinking you're doing, probably the more overthinking. It's one thing to have a thought and then put a plan together, right? But then it's something else to have a thought and then you really start thinking and you start ruminating on it, and that's where stress, that's where sadness, that's where all those emotions come from. It comes from overthinking. It comes from thinking about it over and over and over again, and it just creates stress for you. So these are some of the things that I learned to help you kind of bounce back. It's not a matter of if life's going to knock you down. It's just a matter of when, and then how are you going to respond. So, and by the way, I'm George, and I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and I provide mental health therapy for couples and for individuals for many years. And so today, I just got a few concepts that I want to run through with you. So one is this whole thing about the law of the compass. All right. And so the law of the compass is knowing where you are. So where are you on this journey? So, and I've got some guide to help you kind of figure out where you are in this journey. So we've got the learning years. Okay. So we've got years. So 0 to 18 is your learning years. That's where you're learning. You're going to school primarily. All right. Now, in your learning years, somebody else supports you. So you don't support yourself, somebody else supports you during your learning years, right? And then from 18 to 24, those are your growing years. Now, during your growing years is where you're beginning to learn how to support yourself. You're beginning to learn, but you're learning. Okay, so these are your growing years, so 18 to 24. And then there's your yearning years. Okay, so your yearning years is 24 to 45. And that's where you're beginning to narrow things down. You finish college, you've got that trade, you've started on that job now, you've been working on that job now for 10 years. And so you're really beginning to establish your career. All right. And then you've got your earning years. Now, your earning years are 45 through 75, 80. Okay. So these are your earning years. And this is where, so where are you on this journey? All right. So where are you on this journey? And then, um, so the other thing is I want you to, so it's knowing where you are on the journey. And so, because sometimes I think with social media, we feel like we should be further along than we are. We feel like we should be doing better than what we are. And there's this whole thing about constant comparison about where we're at, what we should be doing. And what it does is it creates like stress. And whenever you compare yourself, you always compare your worst with somebody else's best. Okay. And so comparing is not a healthy thing, right? It's not helpful at all. All right. And um so with the law of the compass, it's just really kind of understanding where you are in life, where are you on this journey, right? It's just understanding that. And you want to understand where you are. All right. And so, and where I want to land today on this whole thing about this bounce back effect. So, what is your bounce back effect? So, your bounce back effect is when you get knocked down, how long does it take you to get back up? Sometimes we never get back up. Sometimes we've got this low grade sadness, irritability. I don't know if you know anybody like that. They're very pessimistic. So the glass is always half empty. They're always looking at the downside. And the interesting thing is because we get so much information, it's easy to point to these different examples because we have them. It's not because they're not there. It's because they are there. And there are countless examples that we can use. Now, if someone is in a car accident on the other side of the world, we're going to get a notification about it. So whenever something is going on throughout the entire world, we get a notification about it. So it's easy to to look at the point, you know, 0.1% and say, you know what, there's a possibility that this can happen. And I I think there's some truth. There's always a possibility. Here's the thing though, what's the likelihood? And so I think it's important that we know the difference. So let's just do a recap that we understand the difference between thought and thinking, right? So we know the difference between thought and thinking. A thought, we have a thought to start a business, we put a plan together, we start a business. Thinking is when we perseverate on it, when we ruminate on it, when we're going over and over on it. The other concept that we talked about was the law of the compass, knowing where you are in your journey, right? So early part of your journey, somebody supporting you, then you're supporting yourself, but with some assistance from from that person. Then, that, so we got the learning years, the growing years, the yearning years. Now, the yearning years is basically where we're narrowing down. And then the earning years is, 45 to 75, where we're starting to make money. We're starting to learn. We're starting to, be successful, right? And so you're starting to be in demand. You're a SME. SME is a subject matter expert. And so that's where we're putting it all together, right? All those years, and we're putting it together. And then we also talked about the bounce back effect. Well, how long does it take you to bounce back? Do you ever bounce back? So we know people that have had, um, experiences, negative experiences, hurtful experiences, and they're irritable, they're angry, they're frustrated, they're right. So we know maybe they don't bounce back, right? But we also know there's something called post-traumatic growth. And post-traumatic growth is after a traumatic event, it's the growth afterwards. So how long does that take? How long does that post-traumatic growth takes? So these are some of the things that, I've learned on the journey, and learning what to do when life disappoints you, because it's not a matter of if, but it's just a matter of when. And my last point is this whole thing about a radical resistance. So it's an intentional practice to using every setback as fuel for personal evolution. So it's a radical resilience. And so radical resilience is just where we, instead of looking at the glass half empty, we're looking at it half filled. We're able to rebound. We're able to bounce back. We're able to get back up when negative things happen, when we, get emotionally injured, right? Um, so all those are different concepts, and how I learn what to do when life disappoints you. All right. And so, if there's something that you would like to see me um, talk about, I would love to talk about it. If I can, if I can't, I'll let you know that too. So, and I'm thinking in the future, what I would like to do is maybe, answer questions. Maybe we can have, different, um, maybe live chats. I'm thinking. So this is actually my first time doing this on a Saturday. I've live streamed during the week, but this is my first time doing it on a Saturday. So I'm still trying to test things out to see what works and what's helpful. All right. And so let me know, comment, if any of this kind of resonated with you. And so what was that, the yearning years. So the yearning years is where we're really starting to narrow in on, we're starting to narrow down. So maybe we went to college, and maybe we've got a degree, and we've got a degree, let's say, in IT, right? A lot of talk about IT lately, right? So you got an IT degree, and but you're just really getting started. Okay. And it's where you're working on your craft, you're starting to narrow in, but you're also looking forward to, doing better, for the growing, to maximizing your potential. And so those are your yearning years. And then coming out of that phase is your earning years. So, yes, I think that you could, literally find your niche, find your thing, by the time you're 25 years old. That is possible, but it does take time to be a subject matter expert. It takes time. And so you've got to really work towards, that goal. You got to work towards building that skill. You want to work towards that. And so, thank you. Thank you for the question there. So, with that, I think that was pretty much all I had for today. But I'm really excited about doing more of these. Sometimes I kind of feel like I'm kind of scattered, I'm all over, but that's fine. It's just a part of the journey, it's a part of the process. Okay. And so I learn something every time I do this. All right. So thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you and enjoy your Saturday. Bye bye.